Hello, YouTube and Yang Gang and the interwebs. Cuffy Proctor here to talk about the debate, but also the direction of the Democratic primary. I think the Democratic primary is going to change drastically. I just talked about this briefly in another video, but didn't get to go into it in depth as much as I think I would have liked to. But I think the big thing here that really is a game changer is Yang Gang. The creativity behind Yang Gang, I think, is a big driver. Memes, the anime opening videos, even some of the political ads, not the ones that were more traditional. I think the stuff that they're releasing now is just super creative. And as time goes on with like Donald Glover and whatnot, I think it's just going to continue to expand. Things are going to get crazy here because right now, it's just been around creativity, word of mouth, the internet, virality of the internet, but the media has pushed things down or suppressed a lot. Once they start to see that people start rallying behind him as much, it's really going to change things. I think there's going to be a lot of energy that's going to swell from the ground up, just like it did with Obama and Ron Paul and a lot of the grassroots supporters. The difference here is I don't think the media is going to stay pushing it down forever, because really, who are the other options? And you're starting to see them start to unravel right now during the debates. You're going to see those poll numbers start to slip. You're going to see some of their performances start to slip. It was a rough night last night for Warren and Buttigieg and even Biden. They say he had a strong night, but I don't think that he did have a strong night. I think he had kind of a rough night. Sanders, I think he's getting stressed like always. He's been saying the same thing for 40 years and nobody's listening. But I think the big change here, the big direction is that creative aspect, how calculated Andrew Yang has been every step of the way. So these early on debates, people were getting upset and worried. It's like, hold on, man. There's 20 people in the race. It's going to get slimmed down, and he's really got to make himself stand out then, not now. And I think he's just done that. He's very calculated. I think that the rest of I've said this before, the rest of the Democratic primary, is just fucking scrambling. And Andrew Yang's got down the rules to chess. Well, he's playing chess while everybody's learning the rules to checkers. Like, they don't know what the fuck they're doing. And I think it's because the internet has changed fundamentally how we gather our news media. It's going to change this election drastically. I mean, last election, everybody was shocked when Donald Trump became president, but it's because they didn't know how to measure things. These polls are measuring the wrong thing. They're measuring, landlines, and when they're not measuring landlines, they're measuring, registered voters. Like, this election is going to be built on the backs of non-registered voters, the disenfranchised, libertarians that aren't ever voting Democrat, like me usually. There's a lot of people that are coming into this election, and I think they're not going to be calculated, so the numbers aren't going to factor them in, and we're going to see some crazy upsets in the Iowa caucus and in the primary in New Hampshire, because people like Tulsi and Yang have been running a fucking aggressive ground game, and you don't see that on this. They've been everywhere, and they're not stopping. They're going everywhere. They're really going to make an impact, door knocking and everything. So I think that is where it comes in. When you look at the past elections, things like John Kerry running a strong ground game and was really, they didn't predict the way things were going to go, but because he built strong grassroots. Same with Obama. I mean, they're just a lot of times people are just assuming that it's going to go one direction, and then obviously they're just knocked flat on their ass when it goes the opposite. So as time goes on, I think we're going to see just that happen. We're going to see people start to shift towards this passion and positive energy. So that's really the next thing I think that's important, is that passion and energy. Yang has said this a bunch of times, like, money take donors over grassroots passion. Like, I will take passion every single time, and people every single time, because they don't stop. They keep pushing. They're driving, and that's what Yang Gang is all about. Is really impressive, and I think that as time goes on, we're just going to continue to see that grow and grow, and that energy grow. I mean, $1,000 a month speaks a lot to people. At the same time, people can really figure that out in their head. Whether you think taxes are theft or not, taxation, a negative income tax is less than I'm paying them in taxes a month. If you really cut it down to the simple facts, the government's giving me $1,000 a month and I'm not paying $1,000 a month in tax, that's negative income tax. And if that money's coming from automated robots owned by a corporation that's not a person and just owned by other people, the labor isn't coming from the backs of other human beings. And that's why socialism is a problem. Wealth distribution is usually a problem. We're not talking about that. We're talking about harnessing the gains of automation to better the future. Because we're going to collapse as a society and a species, quite possibly, if we don't figure these things out. Because we are lagging behind. I'm not against progression. I'm not against technology, but I am about getting in front of these things and preparing for it. So that energy and positive passion, I think, is what's driving things in the direction, and why Yang isn't convinced in any way that he's just 100% set that he's going to make it all the way there, and he's going to beat Donald Trump in the main election. And that type of energy, that positive energy, that just, I'm not going to fail, and that it's not even an option, just because he's trying to save his kids, right? I mean, I think all parents can relate to that type of energy, like that. Lift a car off my fucking kid type energy. Whether it's, hormones running through your body, adrenaline running through your body, and, you're trying to protect them, or you're just running for president because you can see something that you can't change and nobody's going to do anything about it. And that's just exactly where he is. And that positive energy, that like focused energy, like if you follow energy work, or if you're, big into metaphysics or that spiritual aspect, you'll know that a lot of people talk about putting positive energy out and not letting any negative energy in. And I think that just being like positive, that everything's going to work out, materializing this. I think so many people are just so convinced that he's the guy that even though the poll numbers are so low comparatively, they're not factoring in what's happening. I think at a ground level, whether it's spirituality, whether it's just logic and energy, and people just getting the word around, there's something happening that is fundamentally different than all of the rest of the campaigns. And I think even like people like Steyer and Bloomberg who are jumping into this are seeing that, who the horse is to get behind. And it's going to be Yang. Like that USA Today thing was all about how he could be a good, secondary runner-up and, presidential, running mate. No, he's going to be the real deal. The grassroots, I think, is everything. And that positive energy and passion lifts us up. But IQ is another factor. He's playing a long game here. If you think he isn't playing this like a chess game, you don't know what the fuck he's doing. And I think in a way the Trump campaign did something similar, but way more haphazard, and they were just using voter data. I think this is a culmination of a lot of intellectual planning, thought process, and IQ. And I think that any of these guys, they used to say Obama was a political mastermind, and that's how he won the election. Well, what happens if you have somebody that is from outside the realm of politics come in and see how it works from an outside perspective? Also somebody that has worked in the realm of politics, but not so much as a politician, just working around politicians, trying to get jobs made. He's got a pretty good idea how things work. And look, man, he's just a very intelligent guy. I think that's going to be the end result. And then policies. When it comes to that final aspect, like he's just beating everybody on all policies across the board. It blows me away by how incredible his policies are and how realistically thought out they are. Like really, well articulated and well planned. But the last but not least, I'm not going to say this is last, but one of the most important things, bipartisan support. 10% of Yang supporters, of Trump supporters, swing towards Andrew Yang. And I think that the disaffected vote, people like my friend Austin, who's never voted a day in his life and fucking never gonna vote for a politician ever, and wouldn't vote for Trump, any of these guys, he's gonna vote for Yang in the primary. And it's a big deal because there's more and more people like that are Googling him, they're finding out about him, and they're coming out of the woodwork, and they're actually gonna, try to vote during the primary. And I think we've got a lot of that in New Hampshire. So that's my reason for Math Fest and trying to rally behind libertarians, because I feel like they're some of the smartest political people, and they can really understand what he's trying to do from an outside perspective, not a democratic perspective. But I think the goal is to get away from big government. That's the thing. People are anti-government. Well, this is the way to re-empower people, and I think conservatives can relate to that too. My friend posted this thing, well, why don't they put it as a negative income tax instead and brand it that way, $12,000 a year back to your taxes? Because at the end of the day, it's all coming from the same place, harnessing gains on automation, not companies. And that's what I don't think they're looking at, is they think it's just going to be taxing Amazon. Well, yeah, it's taxing Amazon because they're not run by a person, they're run by people, and it's spread out. And unfortunately, our economy is going to collapse. It's like on the brink of it. But people still don't know who Andrew Yang is. And I think that is going to be the changer, because he's not going anywhere and people are going to know. And as it is now, people are excited. Wait till people actually know about him. Wait till the media can't push him under anymore. See what happens then. So he's in it for the long game. He's going to be here through January, through the debates, through February too. I can guarantee he's going to make a long run of this. And because of it, the primaries are going to be like something you haven't seen, especially in New Hampshire. I'd be very surprised to see if he doesn't come up one of the top runners, third, whatever maybe, in New Hampshire, because of his ground game. Thanks again, Yang Gang. If you get a chance, subscribe, like below, spread it around, because I think this is a valid perspective, and other people may change their ideas thinking about it. I know I did as a libertarian. So thanks again, and as always, tax robot labor.